Aliens don't poop. That is your special announcement for today. You know, it's true, friends. Aliens actually don't poop. I'm going to show you a clip here from Whitley Strieber. Whitley, he was the original anal probe UFO abductee. I've made videos on Whitley. I've got more coming out here. He made the book, The Communion. Okay, have you ever seen the book, the cover? It's one of the most iconic books, The Communion. This is the book, right? This is it. The iconic eyes. It's funny. So he got abducted like in the late 80s, started communicating. They came in. He's got an ear implant. Where literally, I mean, it's wild, friends. He's literally got a freaking ear implant where this is actually recorded. Yeah. He took it to a freaking doctor, and when they come to cut the ear implant, it freaking went deeper in his ear, and then it escaped. And then later on, when the doctor goes away, it comes back. So it's kind of cool nanotechnology, right? Reminds me of Metal Gear Solid. Now, I've already told you, aliens don't poop. This is amazing, friends. So Whitley Strieber, one of his visits, okay, you got to go back like in the 80s, 90s, whatever. He gets visited and he says the aliens, when they came, they stunk like hell. They stank like ammonia. You want to know what ammonia smells like, friends? I mean, literally just put your head deep into the toilet bowl after a night of Taco Bell. That's exactly. They smell like poop, actual poop. Now, it was funny because I made this thread 2 years ago. All right. What actually happened was, friends, someone came onto Reddit and they leaked where the US government has the alien bodies. This is the original thread. This is on Reddit, on Twitter. Okay. And this person is a biology expert. It's interesting, right? A lot of the things they said match up. Like a lot of the explanation about aliens, the religion, their body, their nose, the slits, everything, how they work, their organs are different. You know, the fingers and everything. It was wild, right? This is the funniest part about it was when it turns out. So we got even South Park making fun of the anal probes. So it turns out aliens, they don't poop. They poop through their skin. Now Whitley, we're going to go through a bit of a clip, but Whitley, friends, he said when he came across, so he one of the abduction stories, I think they were in his front yard or something. He went out and they were there, and he said their hands, they were doing like this. They had like slime on them, and they were like just wiping themselves. And he said they literally smelled like poop, absolute poop. You know, interesting, friends. In the Bible, they also say that the devil smells like sulfur. So the devil also smells like poop. Now Whitley, he says it smelled like poop, and he went and he spoke to either one of the government dudes or someone researching him, and then he wrote it down, and they wrote it down, and the guy talking to him, I think he said basically like, nah, that's probably doesn't sound right. You know what I mean? It sounds like you're just making that part up. But then he comes across the Reddit thread that I covered from 2 years ago that went viral, and he's reading it, and in the thread, the guy goes, oh yeah, they excrete through their skin. That's why they stink like poop. And he was like, oh my gosh, there is some merit here because no one has ever said that, and he knew that from the past. Whitley Strieber, friends, we'll go through. I'm going to show you the clip, but if you ever see the anal probe stuff, when I was a kid, I was watching South Park, and I didn't even like the alien part. I have no interest in it. I thought it was like all made imagination stuff. I had no idea it actually came from him, okay? So the gray aliens they're androids. They're pretty much they're AI. So they have a system. It's repetitive. A lot of abductees is a common thing. You get abducted. You come meet someone. You go to a hospital bed. They do something on you, and then when they're about to like drop you off, take you back home, they give you like a tour of the world, and it's a very, very common thing. And then at the end they beam you. They go, "Hey, respect Earth. You better not blow it up." That's pretty much what they do. They start beaming stuff in their heads. Their owners are like these other beings with like giant heads. Yeah, interesting. So what I'll do now, let's just play a bit of Whitley before we continue on. I found this funny. Let's go.
Where do we go from here? I want to go back to the anatomy a little bit.
Okay.
Because I'm fascinated by this, because there's something about the anatomy of these beings that makes it tangible. You know,
Right.
it goes from the non-physical to the physical. And it's funny that we mentioned James Fox here, because one of the more prevalent pieces of information or evidence of these beings roaming this town in Virginia was the smell.
Yes.
The smell which you've talked about in Communion, the smell of sulfur, or burnt cardboard or
Yeah.
or ammoniac. It's like this very distinct, potent, putrid smell that engulfed this tiny town that you had with your interaction. That was also mentioned by this this molecular biologist,
Right.
and he actually had the science behind it.
Yes.
Which was, these pores.
Well, that was what someone sent me. I don't remember who it was. The Reddit piece, the document, which is in the back of the book, completely. The whole document's there. I have no idea who wrote it. I have to admit that I'm no good at the internet, and I didn't find it myself. Someone sent me a link saying this, you might be interested in this, and that was true. The reason it was true is that the first few words of the document describe something I have observed but never spoken about that is really weird, which is that with the pores. The document describes the fact that they exude waste through pores in their skin, and it mentions the odor of ammonia. And, if they have aesthetics at all, they're very different from ours. Let's put it that way. They ain't pretty. And I hate to say that, but, and I probably piss them off, but it's the truth.
Do you think so? You think they'd be offended?
I've already done that. Yes, is the answer. Anyway, when I read that, I thought, my God, I saw that. I know that. I saw that. I saw it in my front yard. What happened was one morning, I got up. It was just, I get up early, and I wasn't expecting to see them, but as I was walking past the windows in the cabin, looking out over the front yard, there were 3 of them standing there up near some trees. And I thought, oh my God. I was trying to kind of tame them at the time. Like, I felt they were very bird-like. They would disappear when you got near them. So I go creeping downstairs and out onto the front porch. It's still standing there, doing this, moving their arms, and I'm trying to figure out what they're doing. And so I step down into the yard, and they're still doing it, moving their arms. Then there's a telepathic message that they're cleansing themselves, that it's waste matter, and that they're literally, and so then I told Bud Hopkins about this, and he said, that's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard. I told him about the ammonia smell, and it was like they were defecating, but they do it through their skin. And he said, that's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard, but that has to be your imagination. So I figured, yeah, he's probably right. It is pretty disgusting. Anyway, I dropped it. So years and years and years pass. I pick up the Reddit document. The first paragraph is that described exactly. So I knew the document had some substance. It is not perfect genetically. The genetics in the document, I've had a number of two geneticists look at it, and they say the man obviously is a biologist, but their impression was either that he's talking about genetics that are very different, which he is, or that he's probably retired and not completely up on the science as it is now.
I see.
So that, friends, you want to see, you got some OG, your friend Sommi stuff. I'll show it to you now. I'll bring this over here for you. It's kind of funny. If you type in UFO Reddit into here, look at here, friends. So aliens don't poop. I made this 10 months ago. Alien body. I also want to show you this. Look at this. This is from, this is 2 years ago, literally 2 years ago, friends. UFO special, missing MH370 and crypto bottom signals. Look at this. Aliens don't poop. That thread, that thumbnail. And also, if you scroll down, this was the scientist leaking the info. Okay, now this scientist, something cool about all the data dump he did was there are people who they checked all the things he was talking about. I think it was like they were using some DNA sequencing program, and someone said, hey man, I'm in biology. I can't confirm if this thing is real, but this guy's OG. He goes, because the system he's talking about was exactly the system they were using from like 2003 to like 2007 before they got upgraded. So this person like could be really old. Now I'm just going to show you, like, what do I say here? Just in, aliens don't poop. Wow. That's right. Kind of funny. It's more efficient. Yeah. If you were to design a system of humans, you don't store your poop inside. You keep excreting it through your skin. So you're just like, you're constantly, but you're smelly. You're smelly all the time. Oh, man, this is it. This is the big alien head stuff out here. I've actually got a picture of what they look like. I know they look big and scary with their heads, but that's because, friends, if you're curious, when you see big and scary, it's because you and I, our DNA, we feel better when we can see the whites of the eyes. Because if you can see the whites, we can see where something's looking, and it makes us more comfortable because we know what they're looking. When something's just full on black like this, okay, then you're like, uh-oh, I don't know where you're looking. This looks like a big bug, okay? That's why it looks like that. Also, you know their eyes, this is not their real eyes. Their real eyes, apparently, is like they're peeking. Alien eyes without night filter. That's actually their night skin thing, okay? I think their real eyes, they look like imagine someone literally just took a hit. It's 3 a.m. and they're hanging around at the train station. Here it is. Here it is. Yo! I'm like, bro, you haven't slept in 3 days, have you? Ah, man, you gotta laugh. It's kind of funny. I'm literally the only UFO content guy that actually makes fun out of this. Because we can't do anything, bro. We're the monkeys in the zoo. Do you get it? Earth's not ours. Just get over it. Everyone's like, ooh, deep, dark, scary. Bro, what are you scared for? You know what I mean? Like, if they have bad intentions, you can't do anything anyway. It's kind of funny. Now, this was my first OG video about the UFOs and the scientist that leaked it. This is it. Scientist leaks info on the alien structures, actually the alien bodies themselves. And I've got my thread right here, friends. This is actually my thread while I'm showing you this. So why it's interesting is, see, this is where a lot of UFO guys and girls, they just, man, you shoot yourselves in the foot. Like, everything that comes out, they're like so paranoid, and they have to either commit or don't commit. They're like, they either like it or it's psyops. Everything's psyops. Someone farted, psyops. That guy says he likes cheese with his macaroni, psyops, bro. Like, just chill out, man. Just chill out, okay? You know what I mean? You don't have to commit to everything. I'm just telling you, just absorb it over time, and we're learning. By the way, friends, you know what I'm actually doing, okay? You know them, non-human intelligence. They're ancient, yeah? They're multiple hundreds of billions of years old, apparently. They've been around literally forever. So we're like, who knows? We're like probably civilization number like 1 million. You know what I mean? Who knows how many of them have blown themselves up, never made it past caveman stage, maybe it's cave bugs, you know what I mean? Like, just all walks of just anything you can think of in terms of a cell forming. So I'm sure that they've seen this thousands of times before. So the first question you always ask is, I had this question too. Hey, why don't you come and just show yourself? You know, we'll play checkers, have some orange juice. No one's going to do anything. Just tell us you exist. They can't. They can't. And there's a very good reason for it. I actually got it from Whitley. All right. And when I heard it, because before I heard it, I'm like, here we go. Someone else with the answers. You know what I mean? And I heard it. I'm like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. And the answer already lies on Earth. We have done this ourselves. Cross-Colonisation. If you are an advanced civilization, like the British, like any of us, if you go to an island or a group of people or a continent that they're way too below you, okay, you screw up their culture, okay? You are now God. You have too many answers. Your technology is too high. So everyone on the continent, everyone in the system, they stop progressing. And then they just look to you for answers. They go, hey, I'm sick. Give me the answers. Hey, I don't want to go kill this lion with my stick. Give me a gun. You know, like, and you just move this. And like, oh, you have all the answers. You have all the wealth. You have all these. And it was to bring bad diseases, right? When I heard about it, I'm like, interesting. Why does that screw things up? I don't know, bro. Maybe if I had data on how 1 million civilizations turn out, we'd probably get more of an answer. We don't. If you are in America, by the way, the National BioDefense Analysis and Countermeasure Center, actually we have Google Maps of where they actually are. They actually have the alien dead bodies here. This is it. Fort Detrick in Maryland, in here. This is me putting some cute UFO photos. This is actually from inside the lab. So if you're curious, friends, so this Biologics thing, it's real, man. Like, it's totally real. It's also interesting. Whitley says, he asks some really like advanced biologics, PhD guys, and they're like, hey, that guy, he's probably really old because we've advanced in the last 15 years. And then he's talking about stuff that's from like back from 2008. So it's funny. With the recent advancement in DNA tech, they could dig into their cell structure. So he talks about their genetics. He goes, non-human intelligence, this DNA, also got to remember, friends, obviously Earth's not ours. Duh, get over it. We also have the fact that the little gray alien midget things, the androids, it's AI. Yeah, obviously very, very smart, but it's still AI. It's not really them, and we don't know what them are because whenever someone meets them, it's either a reptile or literally a giant praying mantis, or it's another one of those, the South Park giant head things, other beings, whatever they are, but it's outside time that we think of. We don't know. So it could be, this is why, once again, no answers, bro. It's either we go outside time, they somehow are able to phase us out, or you're just in a UFO ship above the sky that's camouflaged, and for some reason they got something pointed at you that puts you in a dream state. So we don't know what the hell's going on. Of course, like I said, we do this all the time, friends. They tranquilize the lion in the middle of the jungle. Lion gets knocked out, wakes up, scientists working on him, feeding his nuts because they're just checking if your nuts are working. He goes back to sleep, comes back. It's the same thing. Funny enough, based off the DNA research, they found that they are from another planet, biosphere, with different biochemicals. Now, that's not true. We don't know. Could be for another planet. I don't know. All right. But it seems like we're the actual aliens. Yeah. They're the OGs, and Earth's DNA came from them. It's like we're the actual aliens. But it's funny. We think we're the aliens. That they're the aliens, right? It's funny. He says their cells are compatible with human cells. Their genome has 16 circular chromosomes. There are also extensive text explanations about it. Yeah, so I remember I went through all of it. The body they had, 150 centimeters in height, 2 big eyes are big, it's night vision, biosynthetic film, 4 fingernails, no nails, minimal muscle. They have no butthole and they have no genitals. Yeah, because it's now obviously all the leaks from the government stuff. They're like, yeah, these ones are the droids. They send us the droids. It's kind of funny. Look what they say. Their breath is similar to birds because their brain is so big and they have metabolic needs. Their blood has more plasma, so their blood's more like brown, and they need lots of copper and sugar. That's why a lot of the rumors, even Whitley says in that interview, that's why they suck up the cows, because cows have a lot of copper in the blood. They're using it, I guess, for fuel source. But you know what? All of this is, we're guessing. Here's the thing, man. When you're the monkey in the zoo, you can guess about anything, okay? They're never going to reveal themselves until we're ready. I've even mentioned, so look, they ask him, are they bioengineered worker bees? He goes, yes, they are disposable and unable to live here without technological support. So if it's, I've got to put the South Park anal probe stuff. That's what they're doing. They'll come out, man, this guy went through so much hell. I did not know it happened. I thought it was just South Park going, haha, let's get this weird creature alien to stick things up people's butts. No, he was the first anal probe dude. This is interesting, right? They asked the biologist, can you tell us about the religion aspect in the document you were briefed on? So he got a briefing, and he was doing obviously the DNA stuff on him. He goes, EBOs, that's what they call them. EBOs, so alien, so that's extraterrestrial biological organism. That's whatever it is. Yeah, EBOs. But it's called Mr. Alien Dude. Mr. Alien Dudes believe that the soul is not an extension of the individual, but it's more like a field, just like gravity. It gathers in the presence of life. This is his post up here. I remember going through this out here. Very interesting. You know, friends, I've shown you the plant in the room experiment where, I mean, it's kind of wild, right? There's a randomized light torch in the middle of a room. When they put a plant in the corner, the plant changes the odds of the light. The light has higher odds than 25% to land in the plant's corner, no matter where they move it. It's like it's pulling the universe to keep it alive. Obviously, they ask him, why aren't you going to testify? He goes, he's paranoid. And by the way, he deleted his Twitter account because someone said, by the way, bro, they can get your IP address because of this. And he literally, after he read that comment, he's deleted everything. He deleted everything. This was the thing I was talking about. Cluster W. He goes, damn OP, you're kicking it old school. For the rest, Cluster W is a sequence alignment algorithm that was commonly used at the time the alien poster says they were active in this endeavor. Molecular biologists today would use newer alignment algos. Nice detail, damn. You know what's funny? Lou Elizondo, they asked him in his interview, where did they keep alien biologics? He goes, he confirms it's pretty much Fort Derrick, Maryland. But because if you and I know about it, maybe they moved them. Now, friends, I'm going to quickly show you this clip from Whitley. And I'm going to give you, because we can't go through all of the information, I'll summarize it for you. And it's really interesting. I've never heard anything like this before, okay? But only until I started reading up about it. So you and I, we are trapped, okay? But not trapped like in a nihilistic bad way. You and I are bound by time, yeah? And it's funny because Whitley, I guess they talk to him a lot. And by the way, you probably, next question, like Sommi, this guy wrote science fiction novels. The only thing is a bit weird. I know it's a bit weird, but here's another thing. Do you know a lot of people in the art industry, creative people, they have a higher rate of being abducted? Yeah. So a lot of the alien stories, it's like book writer, artist, people with high creativity. Okay. Now we know biologically, you know, if you're like a real quant nerd guy, you like numbers and your logic thing basically is pinging off your head there. But creative people, they don't like this structure and these numbers. They've got like a different just wiring of their brain a bit differently. Doesn't mean they're more open to it. We don't know. We don't know. Are they chosen? Once again, more questions, right? But it's interesting, this concept. They say, because you and I, we can't manipulate time. We're in a time stream now. We can only move forward in it. And this is another thing, right? It's literally jail. Okay. But it makes it exciting. Why? It's because you and I don't know what happens tomorrow. Yeah. What Whitley actually says is, from their perspective, I guess he's talking to them a lot, right? From their perspective, they're outside time. So they know everything. And our brains, we can't comprehend knowing everything of the past and everything of the future. And if that happens, what's the point of living? Think about it. Because, you know, when I started hearing this stuff, I started like doing thought experiments. Okay, well, what if we knew what would happen every day of our lives until we passed away? From now to the next whenever, 50, 60, 70 years, whatever. I'm thinking, if you just absorb that information, what's the point of living? You know what happens next. Yeah? You literally know what happens next. Yeah. I couldn't believe I came to that conclusion, because you're thinking, oh, more knowledge, more power. It's too much power. We're not even ready for that. Let's let Whitley speak about it a bit.
Conscious field.
Yes.
Through experience.
That's absolutely right. That's exactly what we're here for.
Like we're mining consciousness on a certain level.
Yeah, well, we're mining experience in order to feed consciousness.
In order to feed
Let's be really clear here, because that's important.
And so to what goal? Because it seems like what is that? What does that critical mass look like? What does that end game look like? What is that apotheosis? Is it the universe becoming self-aware? Like, what's the end look like?
You have to look at yourself. It's you becoming self-aware. You. Chris. That's it. Because, believe me, if you become self-aware, really self-aware, and stay in the time stream, this is the next step for all of humanity and for them. That's what they want. They want us to wake up to ourselves and still stay in the time stream and be vividly aware in a way that we are not now. There are levels of emotional experience that we don't touch. There are the levels of real, true being that people have touched in the past sometimes, a little bit, but we all have to do it. And the only way to do that is to begin to think of Chris or Whitley or anyone is not as the person, but as the instrument that the being is using to be in the social community of the species. There is a level of self, of being, I should say, outside of the self.
So I want to quickly tell you, because it sounds a bit like, because he's a sweet old man, he's not in internet, you know what I mean, like OG like us, right? So earlier he explains, because we're still using our language is a bit primitive, okay? You and I have our body here, and then we got our soul. We don't have enough words in the English language that we're like building upon that have descriptions for the soul. You have your astral projection, soul stuff, and everything out here. It's your second body, whatever it is. Or is that our main body and this is the second? We got no idea, right? That's where he's coming from. He's coming from that. But a lot of this stuff, friends, I know it always comes to like, let's hold hands. Everything's going to be great. I get it, bro. I get it. It's just, we've heard it a lot. We've heard everything, bro. We've heard everything. I know they're right. But we're still bound, bro. We're still monkeys. We still get a dopamine kick. Who knows as well, friends? When it comes to any of these, bro, we don't know what's the data on civilizations doing this. No one's got all the answers. You don't know how civilizations go up. Are we on our verge of literally blowing ourselves up? What is it? So many things as well point to non-human intelligence making humans fight. And then people start to speculate, does that mean they're all evil? They're the devil? Maybe. But then there's another thing. What if making us fight is the only way we get better? I always think about that. How would you know? You wouldn't know that. You know what I mean? But do you know of all the major science stuff we've ever made, it all comes through war? Did you know that? Everything. Literally, you name it, that's progress society, it's got something to do with war. You go, Sommi, what about the internet? Made by the army so they can communicate long distances electronically. That's the basis of the internet. See what I mean? Like everything comes through war. It's like, this will be really useful. Sending information, traveling long distances, shielding from stuff. We make and invent things. Like once you start to realize everything humans make has come from war. We're like, I want to blow someone else up, or I want to protect myself from being blown up. When I start to look into that, and I first heard that, I was like, no. It's like we're going to be fighting forever. That's why it's like very conveniently sprinkled. World War III FUD, World War IV. Makes you think twice. Let's watch a bit more Whitley here. This is interesting.
Have in their collective consciousness that gatekeeps people from accessing them? Is there an entity there? Is there an energy there that prevents this communication from happening? Is there something you have to do to get past that threshold? Like, what does that look like?
Well, that's really an interesting question. And I've never heard it stated quite that way before. I think that there is a barrier that is generated probably by both sides to an extent, in the sense that they can be afraid of us. And they definitely can be. They're very careful physically. And when one of them will physically come into a context I'm familiar with, this individual, if it's one of the biological ones that's about 5 feet tall, will have guards with them. And the guards will be, interestingly enough, not only guarding them physically, but also guarding them on another level, because there's more to the contact than we can even see.
I want to quickly show that. Do you see, fans, how he said they are careful of us? It's funny. He said that for a long time. Do you remember I made my video? Jason Strands, he worked for the US military. He ran into that blue skin alien dude in the middle of the desert. And the guy who had no ears. All right. And the guy whose his ship was gone down.
There's this guy. It looks like he's wearing a uniform like we are. He got battle dress uniform on. So he sees us and he starts to look like he's running, and he's got this really weird run, like his arms are kind of flailing behind him. It's like he was running against a hurricane wind, and it was like he was going to fall over at any time. And I was like, yeah, it's a bit windy today, but it ain't that bad. So it looked really strange. And then I began to notice his skin tone looked like he might be hypothermic. And I'm thinking, oh crap, this dude's been out here. It's freaking freezing out here. because it was a very cold day and the wind was blowing. It was, those cold days where it didn't matter how many layers you had on. And so as we're getting closer, I'm talking to the ranking guy. Hey, we need to slow down. So anyway, I'm thinking this guy's probably in big trouble. I need to pull off my jacket. I need to give him something to get warm real quick. So I'm starting to do that, and we're approaching. And by the time I get my jacket most of the way off, he's right there at the corner of the front of the car. And
so he looks pale? Is that what you're saying?
He looked like an albino with a very bluish kind of undertone. If you could imagine,
So you're assuming you're immediately associating that with he's freezing.
Yeah, because that's all I could equate it to.
Right.
And then as I'm starting to open my door to try to administer aid to this guy, the dude in the front passenger seat screams he's got no ears. And I thought that was pretty rude because I was like, the guy's in trouble.
Does he have a hat on? He's
got a hat on, and he's got BDUs that look absolutely clean, pristine. And when you're uprange, you do not wear your cleanest uniform. You're in a dirty environment. You wear your scuffed up boots. You don't take them with you.
So he's got a clean battle dress uniform.
Everything.
United States military
very
uniform.
Out of place. Yeah, it looks very out of place when I finally do it. But anyway, I step out onto the roadway, and this guy screams that he's got no ears. And I just thinking it's really rude. And then I close the door, and I look up, and he's got no freaking ears. And his eyes are twice as big. And I'm like, yeah, what the hell did I just walk into? This guy's not from around
here. How far away from him are you?
Probably from me to
just a few feet.
Yeah, just talking distance.
Okay.
And I'm starting to freak out, but then he starts to talk to me, and it's not my language, but it's coming to the understanding is like coming into my mind about every word he's saying. Because
so he's actually saying words.
He's saying words, but it doesn't sound like anything I've heard before.
But you're understanding what he's saying.
But I'm understanding. So I know there's a telepathic thing going on here, and it calms me down at the same time because I'm having to respond to him. And he's like, hello, I'm having trouble with my craft. I need some repair material. Do you know where I could find some tritium? And this is what he's talking to me about. And I'm like, you mean titanium? Because I didn't know anything about tritium at the time. But titanium, he's like, no, it's not it. And I'm like, well, at this point in my career, I had just left the program. So I knew where Dreamland was. And I pointed to the mountain range because you can see for days in the desert. But I pointed towards the mountain range and I said, Dreamland's just over there.
So it's funny, right? In that story, okay, the clip right after that, do you want to know what he says? He says, look, I don't have any of this titrium, whatever the hell you're looking at. He goes, but Mr. Alien Dude with no ears, if you want, you can go to the US military base. Okay, and then what does he say? He scoffs. He goes, oh, I'm not going over there with those barbaric murderers and savages, those barbarians. That's what he says. And he goes back to his ship, right? And it struggles to go up. The ship I just showed you, if I show you the picture, he goes back to his ship. This was actually it, by the way. Yeah, this is it in the desert where it was. This is the actual picture, okay? He goes back to his ship. So that was interesting because so you take that and I'm like, I found that really interesting. They're like, whoa, they called us like a bunch of savages and murderers. And I thought, you know what? We are. We actually are. Imagine Mr. Blue Alien Dude comes out. You know, that's why, friends, you're listening to Whitley. He's like, look, they're not as strong as you think sometimes. But it's kind of, it's interesting. But that's probably talking about the physical flesh. Obviously, you can manipulate space-time.
In other words, there's other levels that don't want that to happen. And it's a very fraught situation. So in that sense, there's gatekeeping. But it's almost as if it's part of nature. Part of the essential difference. You know, let me cut to the chase with it regard to the difference. They are a non-vocal species and a non-vocal world. There's more than one form there, but they universally do not have voice. Like I heard one of the so-called insiders saying, oh, yeah, they have a language. Oh, no, they do not have a language. They have neither syrinx nor vocal cords. They cannot speak. They can make sounds. And as I talk about in The Fourth Mind, those sounds are very powerful.
We'll get it.
Do you know why that resonates with me? have you heard of Elon Musk, friends? Do you know Elon Musk? I still remember this. It was probably like 5 years ago. Do you remember when he went on Joe Rogan? I think when Joe Rogan had the pink shirt. I think it was when Joe had a pink shirt. One of them. One of his interviews. Okay. I've never heard someone talk like this, by the way. Elon says, yeah, like talking's really inefficient. And he goes, because you think of something in your brain, then you got an idea, then you compress it. So you basically like a zip file. You compress it so you can put it into a sentence and a couple of words. Then that goes to your mouth, and then you send it through the air, and then someone else listens to the idea from someone else's head. It goes through the air, then it goes through their ears, and then it's like it's compressed, right? And you're losing data pieces every time it falls, and then it goes to go to their brain, and then they have to interpret it. And I was like, man, these guys are freak. I've never heard anybody talk like that. And that's what opened my mind. So I'm like, wait a minute. I noticed when we're on the internet, we like shorten everything. Instead of have a nice day, we just write see ya. And then we had the emoji keyboard revolution. Everything just gets more and more compressed, right? You know, sometimes I even think, friends, I think, man, our language, the way we talk, it's like so primitive. Because you and I, for example, you know when we say the word love, we've only got one word for it. I think it was the ancient Romans or ancient Greek. They had like 5 words for love. There's like brotherly love. There's like kind, compassionate love. There's like romantic love, right? They have these different words for it, but obviously our brains can't compute thousands of variations for everything. So that's when I knew, when they say, oh, they're built differently. No. We're the monkeys. Okay, that's probably the end game. The end game is everyone's just totally matrixed down. Pew, 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 pew. Just laser ride and stuff out here. It's very fascinating. So once again, I've got to tell you, you learn all of these things because, man, it's bleeding edge stuff, right? Remember, how we even made it to crypto is you knew the fiat system's a scam. Okay, it's all blue pill cuck territory. You're never going to retire anywhere here, okay? There's a big debt. Everyone's getting debased. You got to move to another system where you kind of like awaken and you realize money is subjective and you are a secret slave, right? In the traditional fiat system. You're working, spinning your wheels because you've got to go take on debt. You're working for a currency that they just like draw your purchasing power from and that they can print in 2 seconds. You're just working for that all the time. And whenever anything bad happens in the economy, they do print, right? So extract that out. That's why I'm so fascinated with this. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the same game again. The good thing is though, friend, like you got to learn crypto first. You know what I mean? Crypto, at least, you can make a change in your life. You know, you don't have to go work for the big man. You don't have to go sit in a cubicle. You don't have to like break your back and just go work for someone else. You can actually retire. Okay, you can do that. With this stuff, it's like intellectual. It's fun. It's more like, oh, there are aliens. Okay, now what? Now what? You're still waking up. You still got to work. You can't do anything. You've still got all the buttons and the fear and the FOMO. Everything gets pressed. There you go. You know what I mean? So we've done the hard part first. There's a funny story here that Whitley shares as well, where he was in the shopping center. And this is, by the way, this is, friends, you remember John Mack? I'll just show you this. John Mack was killed by the deep state. Rest in peace, John Mack. He was a Harvard psychiatrist. He wrote a book on abductions. It's just called Abduction, The Human Encounters with Aliens. I think there's over 100 abductions. He did a scientific method. He went through all the abductees. He grabbed all their stories. So many similarities. You get abducted. Maybe they put something up their butt. You know, they say, don't worry, we're not here to hurt you. Then they hurt you. Then you forget. Hypnosis, recalls. At the end, they show you on the ship. They go around. They go, wow, look at Earth. You better not blow it up. And then they come and basically wake up. Okay, he noticed all these similarities. He wrote them all down. He was trying to get Harvard to publish it. And he wanted to do more research because it was so successful. He got threatened by the deep state. They basically said, hey, don't do any of the UFO stuff or we're going to kill you. Unfortunately, he didn't listen. When he was holidaying in England, a drunk driver, the deep state, they do that whole thing, friends, where they put a drunk driver, ran him over on the side of the road, killed him, okay? John Mack. And there were multiple. Do you know, friends, on the day he was killed, I think like 4 John Macks were killed that day. So they got every single one. They probably couldn't even confirm which one was real. They just like get all of them, which is wild, right? And by the way, that fact is erased now from Google. Yeah, it's on Snopes. Yeah. So that actually did happen, and it's like, oh no, that never really happened. That's what they do, friends. They literally they delete. You know that saying, friends. The winners rewrite history. It's so true, man. You know our history. There's lies everywhere. They change stuff in the back, right? So John Mack, friends, when it comes to these being killed, one of the revelations in the book, like scientific studies, was that after people get abducted and they have an experience, right? They are more prone in the next like 1 week or 3 months to see lights in the sky, UFOs more, or get a revisit. And even in many cases, they would have precognition, ESP. They can like predict the future a bit. They know an event's going to happen in an hour or 10 minutes or something. They also, sometimes a few cases was telepathy. So someone came back from the experience and they could hear sometimes what people were thinking. And then it went away after a short amount of time, right? So he wrote that down. He's like, oh, they have a high propensity to do that. So it's no surprise Whitley, after one of these things, he keeps, he would like also see that. I think it's got something to do with the pineal gland. This is all bleeding edge science stuff, right? So the thing is, man, we don't have all the answers. I don't promise. I don't have all the answers. I don't know all the answers. I think it's fascinating just because, friends, we're in markets, right? And you're dealing with humans and emotions. I want to know every aspect of humans. Right? I want to know, can you see stuff into the future? Can people guess it right? What did they see? All of these, by the way, you really know where it all comes from. The journals of the greatest stock market investors. Yeah. They had an ability to basically read the crowd and get paranoid deep within right before these big market crashes, and they were able to avoid getting liquidated. Yeah, and I was fascinated by that. They had something in them ticking differently. And I heard about this many years ago when I first started trading. And I'm like, I wonder what it was, because they had no indicators back then, right? You've seen some weird stuff going on here, right? So we're kind of like, that. Just to let you know, friends, what happens is, you ever heard of that Zen State? I always wondered, what's that Zen State? Is it Fugazi? No, it's not Fugazi, okay? Do you ever wonder why as well, friends, sports teams, why do sports teams have a home advantage? Why? Why do they have a home advantage? It's a real advantage. It basically proves everything I'm saying, okay? Sports teams' home advantage is basically, when you're playing a sport, you've got to compute, your brain's got to do like 1,000, hundreds of millions of like, pattern recognition stuff and hand-eye coordination movement. And you've got to read the other team. Yeah? You got to like predict, preempt and everything, okay? Basketball, football, doesn't matter what it is, okay? When you're at the same stadium or the same arena as your home, that advantage, when you're there, basically your brain, you've seen all these sights, sounds, how the grass smells, all this information, it's the same every time. So your receptors in your body, you can now focus on what's different, because these things are not foreign anymore. They're like there every time, right? You basically get to shut off everything. Yeah, because you're like, oh, your brain's like, walking to the same stadium. It looks like the same colors. It sounds the same. The echo's the same. It feels the same. All of these things. And you actually, it's crazy. You have an actual real advantage. So basically, teams get these home advantage where they can enter, like basically they could go like a bit, maybe 5% better. Right? So it's interesting. It even happens in sport. That's why I wonder, can we do it in crypto? Well, we are here. That's why I'm here 18 hours a day. That's why, friends, it looks so funny. I mean, like, Tai Lopez top signal in 2021, Uncle Peter Schiff capitulating the tops and stuff out here. I thought it was obvious to everyone until I had some conversations with normies, and they would scoff at the idea. They go, who cares if that one guy bought the top? That means nothing. that would say that to me with such conviction. I'm like, oh, what? I thought it was so obvious. It's obvious they're a top signal. You don't get it? No, they don't get it. It's funny, right? So on this journey and this plight, I hope you learned something, friends, from these stories. I learn a lot from these, yeah? Don't commit to all of them. Everyone's go, oh, some are psyops, some are government. Who gives a shit, bro? You understand? Like, we can't do anything anyway. What we can do, though, is you fix your situation immediately. I love this bleeding edge stuff. This is literally the heart of crypto is bleeding edge. You know, like, you got to imagine, man, we put a Ponzi currency on the internet, and now it's global, okay? Bitcoin going from $0 to $1, you know, that's more magnificent than any alien intervention thing that you pretty much ever get. Like, just your mind's already blown. Makes you wonder how it's going to continue from here, you know? So, I'm going to be here every step of the way. Like, subscribe, belly button all. Catch you in the next one.